Go Get It listeners, thanks for joining us for this week's episode. Today's guest, we have Louise Whitehouse, who is the co-owner of 2 Olly Fresco franchises here in the Calgary market. It's one of the more prominent food establishments for those working in the downtown core, and she's going to talk to us about how she grew her career into that segment of the market. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd recommend you stick around and let's go get it.
Let's go. Let's get it.
We got Louise Whitehouse, and it's exciting to have someone that's entrepreneurial, super talented, big energy on our podcast today and joining us. So excited to have you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Now, what I'm going to have you do is bring the audience up to speed. I think one fun thing we do with all the guests is, can you kind of reference or remember the first time that we would have crossed paths, just to give the viewer an idea of where and when we would have been connected originally?
I actually have been thinking about that. I definitely know I got to know you more when you first came to our housewarming party that we had, and we invited a lot of the new parents that we were meeting just because we were all in the area and we were young parents. Yeah,
now that's
it was a fun night.
Definitely what I was thinking about, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you'd moved into a newer house at the time. You were hosting your, let's call it a housewarming or a big party to kick things off. And is that the right night or the right one I'm thinking about?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We called it breaking the bar. We had a new bar we had to break in.
I think we did too. And you had a fancy painter there. Yeah, I remember it now. It's all coming back to me. So no, it was awesome. And I know you did a ton of work to get that house to be move-in ready, and a great passion project, I think, in terms of what the finished product looked like. And it was really exciting to move in, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. It was a big project. I mean, speaking about, careers and stuff, well, at the time I was a stay-home mom, and that was almost like a quick turnaround of something I had to do, because now I became the interior designer, a contractor, dealing with everything. It was pretty interesting. It was a very involved year-long project. I learned a lot.
And there's an emotional tie to it too. Whenever you're in a bit of a personal touch to everything you're doing, it takes a lot of work, and it is like a job. Fortunately, the finished product turned out amazing and makes it all worthwhile.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. It's comfortable. It's what I wanted.
So, looking at your career today, I think it's important to give viewers a sense of what your day-to-day looks like, and within reason, how you've ended up moving into the career choice that you have. So being the owner-operator of 2 restaurants in the Calgary area under the Olly Fresco brand, what does that look like? And what was the evolution to arriving at the job that you have today?
Well, it was not an evolution. I actually ever dreamt that I would have restaurants, because my educational background is a degree in history and geography. And working in insurance for a long time, and then stepping back to stay home with children, I never imagined or dreamed I'd be in restaurants. So never think things won't happen. So we did get the opportunity to open up the first restaurant, and it was all-encompassing. It was a very big project to take over, and it was a lot of financial output as well, which was pretty scary. Which I think for any entrepreneur, that's one of the biggest things, is the risk of the finances and what happens if it doesn't work, because you don't know if it's going to work. So to get to this path, we opened the first restaurant, and it ended up being very successful. I was 7 months pregnant, and as a cashier at the restaurant doing cash. So that was really fun.
Is this baby number 1 or baby number 2?
Yeah, baby number 1.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, we were going in at 4 a.m. and standing on my feet while I was fully pregnant. So, we were right in there, and up to that process, of course, it was a lot of coordination, construction, and working with all the trades involved in construction, but it ran smoothly because we had a very good general contractor. But yeah, so That was the first restaurant. So we opened that. It was very successful. Then 7 years later, opened the second one. And that restaurant wasn't as scary because we'd already had one that was established. So we knew it potentially could do well. So opened that one, and I've been managing that one since that one opened. And stepping into that role after being home for so long, it was, I've got a lot to learn. It's going to be a steep learning curve. And it was. But I was up to the challenge because it's a very successful business to this day. They both are. So.
And for those of you that are less familiar with Olly Fresco's as a brand, it's very popular here in the city of Calgary. And I think you have some new franchises or brands that had opened up outside of the Calgary market, but yours in particular. Can you give the viewer a bit of a description of what the office building that it would be sitting in, what that kind of looks like?
Okay, so the first one we opened is in the Bow Valley Square office building. It's on the plus 15 level. In Calgary, we have a plus 15 level, which is very unique to our city. So it's 15 feet above ground. So, and all the office towers are connected that way. So that was a very important location that we chose that because everybody walks by in these plus 15s in winter and in summer. And it's a very important connected part way that the buildings are all connected in Calgary, and you can get to business meetings from one place to another. You walk to lunch, you walk everywhere through them. So it was very important that we opened it in that location as well. We called it a golden triangle. And a golden triangle is where you have these plus 15s all meeting in a certain area. So when choosing a location, that was really important to the building that we were in. As well, we used to sit there before we opened it up, and we would count all the people going by. We looked at all the traffic that was going by during a lunch hour and during certain times. And then the second location came to our attention. And again, it was almost like a little golden triangle as well. So it wasn't a dead end area where there's more than one or multiple buildings converging into one area. And that's what our second location is. It's also connected to a shopping mall, which is at the end of the shopping mall, which is really great because then there's a lot of people going by to go into that shopping plaza. The first location in Bow Valley Square, that was also considered a very small shopping plaza in the bottom of the office building. They have lots of different stores and shops. So again, it's pulling people to that location. And that was really important when you're looking at the office towers that you want to put the business into.
Yeah, well, my knowing the downtown a little bit and crossing paths, it's hard not to walk by one of them throughout the day if you're going from building to building, to your point, the plus 15 being unique to Calgary. When you were deciding on the locations themselves and timing, had you already thought that if one of them went well, you'd look to open a second one, or was that just a natural progression?
No, that was definitely a goal. So the minute, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, once you have one, you already have your second location already in your mind.
Okay,
it's one of those things we just do. It's like, okay, I'm doing this now, I can do the next one. You're always thinking of the next step. So yeah, as soon as we opened that one, it was, let's get another location, let's find it. So for years, we were kind of waiting and watching. We had other offers from other buildings that would come in when they saw how successful the first one was. And we did turn some buildings down because we weren't as happy with the location, or there was something we weren't liking, as they had a lot of controls on the type of build you could do. They wanted it to be more of an elevated. You had to spend so much on things, and the location wasn't as good. So there's lots of things to consider when you do look at a location. It's very key to the first step to your business.
Well, I think you did reference quickly, you wouldn't have predicted that you'd move into the food or retail space necessarily. I think you have a bit of an insurance background as well. For those that are maybe in a different type of industry than what they actually want to pursue in 2, 3, 5 years' time, what's that transition look like? And I know there's got to be some learning curve involved. Maybe being very inquisitive in terms of the people that you're working with and trying to understand better what the business opportunity might look like. But how did you find transitioning from one sector or one industry to a new one? And what did that look like?
For me, it definitely was a big learning curve. But because I'd worked in the corporate and professional world, I was able to bring that side of my career to it. I mean, to the restaurant. I was staying home, and we did have the other restaurant. So my business partner was running that restaurant, and we were discussing it all the time. So there was always a flow of ideas and what was happening. So I was very well aware of what was going on in the first restaurant, though I was staying home. And I was part of the restaurant in terms of working there myself when it first opened. And in terms of opening it up and the construction and the ideas and the types of food and I was pivotal in creating sandwiches. So because of that first step in doing it, I guess when I stayed home, because I was already had a little foot in the door there, it wasn't as difficult to step into the role. The learning piece, the biggest learning piece was dealing with employees. Because though I had dealt with coworkers, I had not dealt with employees before. And that is a whole new ball game, but one that can be extremely rewarding when you get the good people and you recognize them and you reward them. It's yeah. So I guess my transition was easier just because of my initial involvement in the first one to step into the second one.
You were exposed to it even though you weren't exposed to it.
Yeah, I was. It's kind of the behind the scene person, really.
Right.
Definitely.
Which is often some of the most important things. The operational piece is what you need to understand really well to be successful in some of these roles. So you're talking to a new audience and they're either saying, oh, that's interesting in terms of the food industry, the restaurant industry, retail, or just being an entrepreneur. What are the three things in no particular order that you would share with an audience looking to pursue a career such as yours that you think they should be thinking about as they go after it?
Well, definitely, I think you have to be risk tolerant. You have to have a plan and you have to have an exit plan. You have to be willing to fail and you have to learn from those mistakes. And you also have to be very adaptable to pivot. So if something's not working or it may not be as planned, you have to be able to pivot and you have to be able to think of new or different ways of going about the same thing that you want. So risk tolerant is extremely important. There's a lot of people that can't branch out and do something completely new because it's not their comfort zone. But sometimes you have to get out of that if you do want to move careers. Otherwise, you will stay stuck. You have to be able to get out there and know that there will always be risk, but with great risk can also come great reward as well. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's so true.
Right.
Very
and
true.
with risk taking, is it a calculated risk or is it sometimes you just don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you know that you need to try it in order to figure out what that upside might look like?
It's pretty scary because you're like, is this going to work? Is it not? I have no idea. It's a very different model than what I already have. And I have to be tolerant of the fact that I am taking on this big risk. So I will do everything in my power to make sure I'm comfortable with it by a great business plan, great financials, having a look at the locations. And also there has been mistakes along the way. Even as you're opening a new business, you're still learning. You never stop learning. And some of it, to be honest, you're just flubbing your way through it. It's really, that's what it is. You just have to make the most of it and just go and do it. Sometimes there is no manual laid out in front of you. Mm-hmm. You use all the resources you can find to your ability in order to try and make sure it will succeed. And that also, as I talked about pivoting, if for some reason all of a sudden, oh my gosh, this location's not going to work, and I've done all this work, well, now I have to quickly pivot and now look at something different, like a different location or different area.
And you're doing the research phase before you take on the risk opportunities that you see before you. Be prepared or be open to failing because not everything's going to work in totality or 100% of the time. So you need to, I just get the impression you need to be able to stomach a little bit of uncomfortableness in order to get to where it is you want to be.
Absolutely. And I think that's when your exit plan, or if it fails plan, or however you want to say it, it sometimes feels icky to think about what happens if this doesn't work out. What happens if I don't like this new career choice? You have to have the plan to exit, and that's what makes the risk more tolerable because you have that backup plan. So the very first restaurant we opened, our exit plan was literally we put all of our money on the line, all of our equity was thrown at it, and our plan was to sell it all. And it might sound funny at that age, move in with my parents until we could get jobs and back on our feet again. But we knew we could sell everything, be totally liquid, step away from it. We'd have a place to live, and then we could go out and just get jobs and build up and start again. And that's very scary for some people, but we also... I'm
starting to actually perspire now that you've said, yeah.
But I mean, it was a true exit plan. It's a lot of money to output, but can I do it? Yes, I can. Can I afford those monthly payments if it all falls on me? I'm aware of what the indemnity agreement is. Can I stomach that if something doesn't work and it doesn't work out? Yes, for sure. However, I'm going to do everything in my power within my knowledge to make it succeed, because I don't want it to fail. You have to be very ambitious.
Yeah, I would think you have to have confidence in yourself and the concept and the idea. Otherwise, you'd never do anything.
Yeah. And that just comes with a little bit of time and believing in yourself. You never know till you do it. You just don't.
So point number one, in summary, being taking on risk. You got to be open to failure and doing your research. What would be the second most important thing that you'd recommend somebody think about as they pursue a career such as yours?
Use your network. Get advice from anybody and everybody you know. You would be surprised at the amount of people you probably do know that could give you information. So it's key to use every single contact, even if it's just small conversations, even if it's just like, hey, you told me you had a friend that did blah, blah, blah. Would they be interested in talking to me? Or could I get a quote from them? So there's incredible power in the people you know. And you'll sometimes find that a lot of the people you know will be the ones that will actually help you come to your decision making, because you can ask them for all kinds of information and you'd be surprised at what you can find out. You want to, I guess I could, for an example, I play ringette. I play a sport with girls. And within that, I've found out that there's a girl out there who works at a restaurant equipment supply company that I never knew about. And so I've been in communication with her and found out that she actually builds restaurant kitchens. And I was like, well, this is what I need. This is great. I never knew that before. So I think using everybody you possibly can think of within your network, and they may not even be your closest friends. They could just be someone you've come by in passing. It could be a coworker's brother or sister. You'd be surprised at how important the relationships you already have are to opening or looking at a new business or pivoting or changing to a different career. It's amazing how people can come out of the woodworks when you're really looking for it.
I will give
so
you
definitely
credit.
Your network.
On that note, though, I have to give you credit. One of your superpowers is your ability to have conversation and engage other people. So no question, in that category, you probably get to lean on that super skill set to be able to do that. For those that are a little bit more shy, and maybe you're going to say you maybe can't relate to it, but what do you think? And I don't know that there's a right answer, but someone that's maybe a little bit more shy in terms of what the network looks like, or they don't know how to reach out to somebody. Like some of the things that come to mind for me is through social media, through LinkedIn, that it become, or even email. Like it's not as though it's 40 years ago where you got a fax machine and a telephone, and those are the only two ways you were going to be able to contact someone. I mean, is there anything that comes to mind for somebody that they might be able to use, or maybe someone that's trying to reach out to you for a job? I don't know, something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely use you. Well, I don't use a lot of social media platforms, unfortunately. It could be my downfall. However, the internet's amazing. I found some fantastic restaurant designer companies that I had lots of great meetings with and learned a lot through those meetings. So if there's in certain particular people that you need to use, definitely use social media, use Facebook, find groups. There's even, everyone knows within Facebook, there's groups that you can belong to, and there'll be chats that are definitely, I'm sure would be amazing to go to. I use just the internet search and I do calling. So I guess maybe again, that's not for shy people. It's going out there and calling. But there's a lot of chat groups. I think with ChatGPT, it can give you lots of information that you're initially looking for. I guess
that's changed quickly in the last number of months. So you're right. And it's only going to get better. So
yeah, for someone being shy, I guess it depends on what kind of career decision they want to look at, but they're just going to have to do what is the most comfortable within their personality to get the goal. And that means everything and anything. It means looking up things, reading. There's a lot of great information out there too now. A lot of companies, there's actually I did cold call a company that is out of Toronto, and they would actually come in and completely start your restaurant for you. So you didn't even have to have experience. You could go and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Mm-hmm. They would do the business plan. They would do right down to everything submitting to the landlord, down to what type of napkins and cutlery you need. It was amazing. And I didn't know them. I just found them on the internet and started reading. and then just reached out by email and had quite a few meetings with them. I decided not to use them because I was comfortable doing my own business plan and doing all my initial research. So I didn't find it as, for me, that upfront cost was going to be unnecessary.
So you look at the top two items that you shared with us, the risk tolerance piece, comfortable failing, then you move into the networking piece. Outside of that, what would be the third most important thing you'd like to recommend to the audience?
I would say it's more so once you've been established and if you have employees. That would be, when I think about my career right now, one of the most important part of being a restaurateur is the employees. They are the most important thing to the business in my mind. And what's important is to seek out those employees that are really good and empower them to be autonomous, to be able to work on their own and do what you've requested. Because what that did for me is it bought me freedom. So it's recognizing those employees that have the ability and skill and honesty and loyalty that you can actually step away from your business and they are there in place. So you want to make sure that your employees, your key role employees, that you find them. And then those are the ones, well, all of them, you want to make sure that they're paid well, they're happy, they get great benefits. You really want to take care of them the way you want to, because great employees, if you are going to be opening or changing to a career where you are going to have employees, you have to treat them like gold, because they're everything to your business. And as I said, now I can step back. I have a little bit more time because now I don't have to be there every time. I can go to meetings. I don't have to be there because I have those really important employees in place.
Right. And in the retail setting, and I use retail as it applies to your business ownership, the people part is crucial, because not only is it the trustworthiness, the training that you're responsible for, but also the client experience. So when I go into any one of your locations, immediately when I'm looking for something, actually I was there today coincidentally, and very attentive, paying attention to the client immediately. So only positive things to say, but it's that part too. And I think you have a very strong sense for the type of people and personalities that you'd be looking to attract.
I mean, your employees are key, and moving forward, you never know when you're going to connect with them again. And so in my case, it was really important. So what's extremely important is also, I think, being genuine with your employees and genuine with everybody you come into business meetings with. Always be genuine, be extremely honest, and do what you say. And if you say you're going to do something, do it, because that's really important. That's your word. So don't say you're going to do something and then don't do it, because that automatically doesn't sit well with a lot of people, and that doesn't give people confidence. So if any time at work, anything to do with employees, I always do what I say I'm going to do. It's very important, so they also can have that trust in you. I think that's very key.
It's key. It's an easy thing to say, but it is hard to do, because with that comes consistency. And every day that you go to work, you're not always in the same mood. Sometimes you get great sleep. Other times you're getting a phone call at 4 a.m. because an oven's not working. And so there's a lot of it is expected of you as the owner operator and teammate for that matter, to bring consistency in that delivery of messaging so that your team, they know exactly what to expect within reason. And that way they can work toward a certain goal that you set for them as a strong leader. So all of that checks out. And I think it's easy to say it, but it's another thing to do it. And people need to be, upon self-reflection, honest with themselves to be able to bring their A game every single day. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I know it gets so underdeserved, but being a stay-at-home mom for 7 years,
I don't, just for the record, I do not feel like that, but go ahead, finish that thought.
It's really important because, oh my God, believe it or not, when you're dealing with, we have 70 employees, over 70 employees now, and I have, I think, 36 at the location that I'm managing every day. And honestly, it's the same thing. Like, you have children, they have expectations of you. They rely on you. It's the same idea of always being consistent and being the same way. You can't be one or the other. So I think I don't want to undervalue staying home as a stay-at-home mom, but it really teaches you a lot, especially in relationships. I don't want to discount it, but it's very true.
Oh, absolutely. It's
kids
and it's
hold you
full time.
accountable.
There's no time off either. That's the other part.
Yeah. At least with employees, I can, they say goodnight at the end of the day and we're gone.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can listen. I know exactly what you're referring to, and I can say the same for my wife, as who you know well. Obviously, that was awesome. Thanks for spending time with us today. I think the audience will grab a ton from what you've been able to share, and I just appreciate it as a friend, Louise, for joining us on the Go Get It podcast.
Oh,
so
thank you. Thank you.
Let's go.
Hey, this is Rob Butler on the Go Get It podcast. Thanks very much for joining us today. We appreciate you listening to what it is we can bring to your career evolution. And if you liked our guest, feel free to 1, follow us, and 2, put a question in the reel, and hopefully our interviewee can respond to that question directly. With that, I'd like to encourage you to join us on next week's edition on the Go Get It podcast. Thanks again.